Once again, good morning to everyone. And today we are going to start with this training course on Power BI Desktop, which covers the Power BI Desktop components as well as the Power BI service as well. Okay. And first of all, let me start sharing my screen with you. Just let me know once the screen is visible. Is the screen
Visible to me.
visible? Yeah. Okay. So first of all, let's go through the course content. And yes, it starts with getting introduced to the Power BI, wherein we'll just have a look at the business intelligence and how Power BI does the business intelligence. What are the components and building blocks of Power BI, and what's the overall graphical user interface of Power BI? So this is the whole thing that comes under the introduction. And once we are done with this, we'll move on to the second part, that is get data and transform data. And this particular part, it actually deals with the component of Power BI, which is called as Power Query Editor, wherein we get the data from different sources and we transform the data according to our need. In short, we will be seeing how to do the ETL with help of Power BI. Although Power BI is not a tool exclusively used for ETL like Informatica or Azure, but nonetheless, Power BI also has some limited capability wherein we can do the extract, transform, load within the Power BI desktop itself. And here we'll be looking at how to get the data from different sources, cleaning the data with using numerous functions like clean, trim, removing unwanted columns, unwanted rows, adding extra columns, okay, and adding maybe custom columns, conditional columns, index columns, how to transpose our data, pivot and unpivot our data, merge the table with other tables, append the table with other tables, okay, and also how to create a summarized form of data by using the group by option, okay. And all these things we will be learning in this particular section. And once we're done with this, we'll be moving on to next part, which also is a very important part. How to do the data modeling in Power BI. Now for that, first we'll dig a bit deep into data warehousing concepts. We'll refresh these concepts. And once this is done, we'll see the need of the data model, why it is important to create a particular data model in BI related projects. And then we'll discuss how to create and edit relationships in Power BI and how to establish the cardinalities. What's the meaning of these cardinalities? That is one to many, many to many, one to one. Okay. And we'll also discuss about the cross-filter directions in the data modeling and how they affect the whole model. Okay. And yes, after this, we'll be moving on to the very important part, or the part, let's say, which we will be showing to the business end. That is the reporting or data visualization part. And we here will be understanding the very important thing, that is which visualization to be used in which particular scenario. Because in the BI tools, there'll be visualizations like bar chart, line chart, area chart, there'll be donut chart, there'll be also the scatter plot. So important thing for us to understand is that which particular visualization can be used or make sense in which scenarios. So that we will discuss, and we'll also discuss how to make these particular visualizations by making use of Power BI. And after that, we'll be coming to the very important thing in Power BI that is called as data analysis expressions. Now, data analysis expression, we can say, is the coding that is used in Power BI to get the measures or calculated columns from our existing data. And this, believe me, this is very important as far as Power BI is concerned, because if you are good in data analysis expressions, then it means that you are good in reporting as well, because getting the customized view importantly depends on how you write the DAX code. And the more you are thorough with it, you will be more flexible in reporting skills as well. So here we'll be discussing about what is row context, what is filter context, the difference between the two, then what are the measures, what are the calculated columns, and we will be discussing the DAX functions. Like, we'll start with the simple ones like sum, SUMX, average, average X, related functions. And also we'll be discussing about the functions like rank X, top N, and the very important thing, which is if function, that is conditional functions, and also switch function, and the count functions. Okay, and also one of the very important things are the time intelligence functions in Power BI, how to create the date dimension table, and using functions like YTD, MTD. Okay, and also how to use the summarize function to get the summarized version of the data. So this is what will be the extents. I mean, it will be, we can say, a detailed covering of the data analysis expressions. Okay. And once we are done with the data analysis expressions, we'll be dealing with Power BI service. Power BI service is basically used to share our work or collaborate our work into the cloud service named as Power BI service. So here what we can do is, here we can create our own workspace for a particular project. And in those particular workspaces, we can save our work, which can be presented to the business end, or which can also be shared with other developers, where they can accomplish their changes and save it again. And that also again can be shared with the business end. And yeah, here we'll be having an introduction to Power BI service, and what are the different types of licenses that are available in Power BI service: free versus pro versus premium. And within premium also, there are two things. One is premium per user, and there is also premium per capacity. Okay, and we'll be learning how to create the workspaces, publishing reports, creating dashboards and apps, and learning about the gateways, how the gateways can be used to schedule the refreshes. And we'll be understanding the data flows, creating the mobile layout for reading a Power BI report. And we'll also dealing with static and dynamic row level security. And once this is done, we will be discussing about the conceptual questions and answers, and also the scenario based question and answers as far as the interviews are concerned. Okay, and as and when we are going through this course, we will parallelly be also doing a project which goes from end to end as far as this whole syllabus is concerned. Okay, so this is the content that we'll be doing through this course. Any doubt with respect to this?
No doubt as such. Just one question.
Yeah.
These days we are hearing AI very much. So any integration with AI or something, or I mean, any upgrade in Power BI? See, I'm very new to Power BI. Just asking.
Yes. So as far as AI is concerned, when it comes to data visualization, there are many newly introduced AI visuals that are the part of Power BI, like decomposition tree, key influencers visuals. So yeah, these AI visuals also will be the part of coverage. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sir. Hello, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, will we be seeing how to use Python and SQL with Power BI?
See, as far as getting Python is concerned, we will not be dealing with integration of Python with Power BI in this course, and SQL in the sense we in some scenarios are getting the data from the SQL database, but that will be So that will be it. We will not be dealing with how to write the SQL queries and all. Okay, because that again becomes a completely different domain. But yes, we'll be understanding how to get the data from the databases or RDBMS like SQL, MySQL, or maybe Microsoft Access. So yes, how to
Yes, sir.
integrate the data from SQL to Power BI, that we will definitely be covering.
Yes, sir. Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Fine, then that's it. We'll move on with this course. So, yeah. So before starting with the Power BI as a whole, let's try and understand what is the business intelligence and why this is important as far as any industry or any modern industry is concerned. So as you can see in this particular slide, we have uh, two sets of images. One is this sheet or the spreadsheet which you are seeing, and on the right hand side, we have certain visuals. Now, our basic understanding is that if we just look into this particular spreadsheet, at max we'll be seeing what kind of columns it has and what is the type of data that the spreadsheet has. But apart from that, we will not be able to figure out what the data that is present in this spreadsheet is trying to tell us, or will not be able to understand or to make much inference out of this type of data. But by some means, if we are able to convert this data into these kind of visuals, which will make more sense to us, then that'll be useful as far as the business is concerned. But because if you look at this image tries to tell us that the YTD sales, the year-to-date sales till now has been $11.53 million. And there's also a downward facing red sign next to it, which says that compared to earlier, this is negative growth. So this basically is decreasing. And if you look at this particular visual, it says top 5 products as far as YTD sales are these products. Okay. And the third visual, if you see, it will show us the geographical distribution of the sales with respect to different states. Okay. And if you present this kind of data to the business end, they'll be able to make their it will be helpful for them to make their business decisions simple. Okay. So the process of conversion of the raw data into the data or into the reports or visuals, which makes the decisions of the business end simple, this whole, in a broader sense, can be called as business intelligence. Okay. And it's not a very simple process. It involves lots of steps and lots of usage of different tools. So, but in the broader sense, we can define it as conversion of the raw data from different sources into the reports or visuals or the data which makes the decisions of the business end simple. So this whole thing, we can call it as business intelligence. Now, if we try to look at the BI, how it happens in the architecture level, or let's say the higher level architecture, this is how we can represent it. Now, if you look at the leftmost portion, what we are trying to do here, we are trying to get the data from the different sources. It might be some RDBMS, it might be the Excel or some flat files, it might be some other forms of data like transaction data or SAP data. Okay, and all this data from different sources is brought into one area, and this is called as the staging area, where we do ETL. And ETL means extract, transform, and load. Here, the data will be cleaned and transformed, and it will be a uniform data or the data which we can work or do analysis on. And once the ETL is done, this data is brought in to one particular system, or we can say system of techniques, which we call it as data warehouse. Now, data warehouse is where all your data comes in from different sources. And in that data warehouse, we can further divide this particular data into different, we can say, subset of warehouses, which we call it as data marts. And once these data marts, or let me just try to explain what a data mart is. Now, let's say in the data warehouse, we get the data which, the complete data which kind of describes that whole project or the analysis to be done on. And from this data warehouse, we can make the data, segregated data specific to a particular domain, like data specific to sales, or data specific to marketing, data specific to human resources or employees, and such subdivisions of this data warehouse, we call it as data marts. And ultimately, those data marts or particular views or tables, we can bring into the BI tools like Power BI, Tableau, Qlik, and ultimately we can do the further analysis on that data and create multiple visuals, reports, and dashboards. So this is what the high-level architecture of the business intelligence looks like. Any doubt with respect to this, people?
Hi, actually, can you please explain again the difference between the data warehouse and data mart?
Let's say you are dealing with one of the projects which, let's say, is a construction or let's say oil and natural gas related projects. Okay, and all the data that you need, you will get from the business end. Okay, they will supply you the raw data, or they will tell you where to extract the data from. Okay, and you do the ETL and you get that into the data warehouses. Okay, and within the data warehouse, you have this huge data. But the thing is, let's say if you are dealing only with the sales part of the project, okay, then you have to get only the data that is needed for the sales part. Okay, so there what you are doing, you are creating some particular views or some particular tables out of existing tables. Maybe for that you are writing some SQL queries, making use of Azure, okay, to get a particular data that is needed only for the sales part. So that is how the data mart is different compared to the data warehouse. Hope this makes sense.
Okay, so this is a segregated portion of a data warehouse, right?
Yes,
According to the need, we are
only for a particular domain or for a particular part of the project.
Oh,
Yeah.
we got it.
So that's about the data marts. Now we'll look into business intelligence. So business intelligence is where raw data, basically, which is hard to draw and conclusion form, and this is converted to the business data. That is the one which is in visual form and one which is easier to make decisions from. Okay, so this process, we call it as business intelligence. And there are various or numerous business intelligence tools that are widely used in the industrial scenario right now. Power BI, Tableau, QlikView, or QlikSense. There is Alteryx, there is MSBI, there is SAP BI, and there are also tools from the IBM, and also the things like Spotfire. So there are many tools which are used for the purpose of business intelligence. But we can say one of the most widely used tool in the current industrial scenario is Power BI. And there are many reasons for that. Power BI has gained this demand over last 4 or 5 years due to its capabilities over others. And when I say capabilities, I mean certain things like with Power BI, you will be able to integrate with more than 150 data sources. like SQL Server, MySQL Server, Oracle DB, the data from the web, the data from, let's say, JSON files. Okay, so almost 150 plus data sources you have direct connection with. You don't need any third-party connector to be connected with Power BI as far as the data sources is concerned. Also, the customization capability of Power BI is higher because we can make use of the DAX functions, and we can get almost any type of customizations into the Power BI. Okay, and yeah, also the Power BI has a very good integration with Microsoft's own other set of tools like Office 365. It can be integrated with Teams. It can be integrated with SharePoint folders. And due to these capabilities, Power BI is widely used compared to other these BI tools. Now, when we say Power BI is not a single tool, but it actually is a stack of components. And what are those components? Those components are, the first among them is the Power BI desktop. And Power BI desktop is where you will be doing almost most of your work. Let me say almost 90 to 95% of your work in any BI project will be done in Power BI desktop itself and nowhere else. And once your work is done, you will be publishing your work in Power BI Cloud Service, or it's simply called as Power BI Service. So it's a cloud-based application. And by using Power BI Service, you can, as I said earlier, you can be able to share your work with the business end. And not just that, you also will be able to collaborate with other Power BI developers or other users with respect to the collaborative work that you do over a period of time. Okay. And then we have Power BI mobile app. Now this mobile app is the one you can install in your mobile, and you use it not for development, but just to have or just to review the work that has been done. And as far as developing the things, this is not used. Okay, this is used just to, let's say, review the content. And then we have Power BI servers. Okay, and these are basically the on-premise servers. Generally, they'll be installed in some of the virtual machines, or we can also call them as RDPs. Okay, so there these Power BI servers will be installed. And yes, there's one more component which is called as Power BI Report Builder. This is only used to build paginated reports. Okay, and when I say paginated reports, I mean the paginated reports are the reports which look more like this. It will be having more of a numbers. Paginated reports won't be having the visualizations which you're seeing like this. It will be having numbers which make sense. And paginated reports are used to fit the whole content in one single page. So that's the reason paginated reports are used. And also, not just Power BI Report Builder, but there's other software like SSRS that also can be used to build the paginated reports. And this UI interface of Power BI Report Builder is almost very much similar to SSRS. Okay, so these are the different components of Power BI. And yes, so if we try to discuss these components in a bit detail, so the Power BI desktop is where we get the data, we do the ETL, we basically transform the data, and we model the data into the Power BI desktop itself. We establish the relationship between the table while doing the modeling. We establish the relationship cardinalities, and we ultimately analyze and visualize the data. And as far as Power BI Service, which is a cloud application, is concerned, we use this to publish, share, and collaborate our work. And yeah, when we talk about Power BI mobile application, it is a mobile app which is mainly used for reviewing content. And yeah, apart from this, it is not used much as far as development is concerned. Okay. So this is about the components of Power BI. Anyone has any doubt with respect to this thing?
Sir, slide 5, second last.
Yeah.
What is Power BI servers? I understand how we publish it, but what are these servers? Are we talking about the servers on which we keep our reports?
Yes, we are talking basically about the virtual machines which you will be given access to in any project. So on those, the Power BI servers will be installed. Okay.
Okay.
And yeah, those basically are we can say the big machines. Okay. So from there, you do your work in Power BI desktop, which is there in the Power BI servers. And there again, you go on to publish that in Power BI service nonetheless.
Okay, so if I'm working on AWS machine, that would be Power BI servers, and when I will publishing it, that would be Power BI service, cloud-based application.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Now let's talk about the building blocks of Power BI. Okay. So sometimes, yes.
Sorry to interrupt, but I have a question. If we have to do, say, versioning, so that we can give it to the QA team or somebody else has to test, so how we can do that?
You mean to say the version control?
Yes, like say, like we have developed, now we want to move to the QA stage and then we need to do the productionizing.
Yeah. See, as far as creating the different environments is concerned, like dev or QA, so this will be discussed at the initial stage of the project, because only you won't be you only won't be the part of developing the dev, QA or prod environments. There'll be people from data end as well, because they need to create the data source according to this need as well. Because there'll be, let's say if you are using the SQL Server, or let's say Azure Synapse Lake, even those environments have to be made specific to dev, QA, and prod. And as far as Power BI is concerned, we can control the switch between these environments just by changing the data source. Hope you're getting the point. The data source for dev, QA, and prod will be different. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you go to, there'll be a thing called as data source settings in Power BI. Let me show you that. If you go to this, okay, and this is how basically the Power BI desktop looks like. And if I go to File, Options, and Settings, and within that, if I go to data source settings, okay, so now see, there is a data source which is coming from this particular database. And if you're a Power BI developer, you will be, with you, they will share the data source or the SQL Server and database information about different environments like dev, prod, or QA you mentioned. And you need to change it here, change the source. Hope that is clear. Yes?
Okay.
Yeah. And then, so let's discuss about the building blocks of Power BI. So there are these things: data sets, visualizations, tiles, reports, and dashboards. So these things make Power BI complete tool. And when I say data sets, we basically mean the data in uniform form, which we make it that way in Power BI. Okay, that particular data set. For example, if I again open the Power BI desktop, this has three views. The view that you are having a look at right now, this is called as report view. And then there is data view, where you can basically see the data in the table form. And yeah, this basically we can call it as the data which we have right now in Power BI. These tables, and along with this particular model, this we can call it as data set. Okay, so these data sets are one of the building blocks of Power BI. Then we'll come to the second part there, that is visualizations. Okay, so visualizations in the sense, these are in report views, you can see various visualizations. The visualizations like the bar chart, if you click here, you can see various visualizations that are visible, bar and column, okay? Then line charts, there's waterfall charts, pie charts, maps, gauge charts, KPIs, and various other visualizations. So these visualizations are also the building blocks of Power BI. Okay. And then we have the tiles. When I say tile, I mean this particular thing. One visual will come in one tile. Okay. Or in some cases, there'll be 2-3 visualizations in one tile. If you see here, in this tile, there are basically this particular card, which gives you some number, that visual. Then there is this second card. And also there is a simple line chart, which is there. Okay. So they are all present in this one whole tile, which you're seeing. Okay. So this thing in here, we will call it as this one tile. Okay. So tiles are also one of the important building blocks of Power BI. Okay. Then we have the reports. Reports, the one which you're seeing here is the report itself. And ultimately, we have the final thing that is what we call it as dashboard. Okay. Now, as far as business intelligence is concerned, most of the times reports or dashboards are the terms which are used very synonymously. I mean, they usually mean the same as far as BI reporting is concerned. But when we come to Power BI, reports are different compared to Power BI. I mean, when we reports are different compared to dashboards when we are dealing with Power BI, and especially in Power BI service. So let me show you how they are different. If you look into Power BI service, okay, what we can do is, I mean, I'll just show you one of the workspaces in Power BI service. Okay. Now, if you see, there is this icon which shows the report. This icon, it means data set. And this icon here, it is a dashboard. If I open the report here, I'll basically be having the number of pages I have created in that particular report. Okay. And this is exactly how the reports are visible in Power BI desktop. Okay. But if, let's say, I want to create one more view wherein I get only selected tiles from different reports. Okay. For example, let me try to use this, and let me try to pin this in a particular dashboard. On top of every report, there will be an option to pin. If I click on pin, I can pin this into one particular dashboard. And now, if I go on doing this for more visuals, and if I go to the particular dashboard, and if I try to open that dashboard will be consisting of the visuals which you have pinned from those particular reports. The bottom line is that with various reports or with numerous reports, by only selecting some particular visuals that you want, you can create one dashboard which can directly be shared with the business end. Okay, so that they can only have a look at some particular visuals, not each and everything that is present in all of your reports. So this is the basic difference between dashboard and reports as far as Power BI is concerned. Okay, so hope this thing about building blocks of Power BI is clear with everyone.
I have a question. So if we talk about the data sets, the tabular data that you were showing, so where that is getting stored, and if we have a huge data, say like 10-20 GBs of data, will it impact the performance, or will take some snapshot of data?
Okay, now let me try to answer this first. Okay, so when I say data set, okay, initially the data set will be stored in the Power BI desktop itself. Right now, what you're seeing in this particular window is Power BI desktop. Okay, and it can consist the data from many sources.
And not just the tables, it also has the data model. As I said earlier, model in the sense how those tables are basically connected. Okay. And this data, it exists in Power BI itself because I'm using import mode of storage. And when I say import mode, Power BI imports all of this data into Power BI desktop. Okay. And no matter what changes you do in the backend, no changes will happen in the Power BI desktop until and unless you manually refresh it by using this option. Okay. So the data stays in the Power BI desktop itself. And if you publish this data set into Power BI service, like we do here, let me show it here now in the workspace. In the workspace also, there is a data set. Can you see this data set? So this is in Power BI workspace. Okay. So here is where the data stays. So that's about the first question. Now coming to second question about how much data can we store. Now, first of all, it depends on the type of licensing that you have. If you have something like only the free license, then the amount of data that can be stored in one report is 1 GB. And if you have pro license, you can store 10 GB. But if you have premium license, you can store up to 100 GB per data set. I hope that is clear. And
Yes.
one more thing you think about this is that when you get more data into one Power BI desktop or into one file, and let's say if you're finding out that the data is crossing somewhere around 2 GB or 3 GB, it is obvious that the Power BI desktop will become slow. In those scenarios, what we can do is we can initially bring the test data, or let's say the data which is specific to only some specific time period. We can do development on that, and then we can publish that development. And later from the backend, we can load the whole data so that all our analysis is available for reviewing. Hope that point is clear.
Yeah. And is it mandatory to store the data, say in the Power BI service, like on the here only in the Power BI only, or we can point it to somewhere that, okay, read the data from this specific, say database something, and just like report should be built in the Power BI. Is it something? Yeah.
Let me answer that. See, in Power BI, there is also one more type of storage mode which is available, which we call it as direct query mode. Okay. In direct query, query mode, what we do is we don't bring the data into the Power BI. We just make a connection with the backend data source. Like, for example, say SQL Server database or Oracle DB or Cosmo DB. Okay. What we do is we establish a connection with the backend, and here in the Power BI, we only do the development activities or reporting activities as you mentioned. Okay. And in this scenario, the data stays in the backend and you only do the reporting in Power BI, and that's the way it occurs. Yeah.
Okay. And then what about model? The model that we relationship model.
Model
that-
you can do in Power BI itself. Okay. Even though it's a direct query mode. Okay. But mainly the thing is, right now you are able to see the data, right? This data will not be visible in Power BI like this in the table mode if you use direct query approach.
Okay.
And we will be discussing the differences between different storage modes soon. Okay. But right now, this I hope answers your question.
Yeah. Thank you.
So that's about these different building blocks of Power BI. Any doubts with respect to these things?
Just one thing. So reports and dashboard, I'm a Tableau developer. So what I understand is reports are individual reports, and when we collaborate all the reports, it comes out to be a dashboard.
Yes.
Isn't it the same thing with Power BI? I mean, I skipped when you were telling the difference.
Yes, that's the same thing about Power BI as well, because if we have a look at this, in this particular workspace, there is this single dashboard as well. Now, in this dashboard, we can have visuals from different reports and make it a particular view, which we call as dashboard in Power BI.
Okay.
Hope that answers.
Right. Yes. Right. Thank you.
Then, so that's about the building blocks. Okay. And then we'll talk about the 3 views of Power BI desktop. As I mentioned earlier, most of the development related activities in Power BI, you will be able to do in Power BI desktop itself. Okay. So let's try to open the Power BI desktop ourselves and have a look at the 3 different views of Power BI desktop. Okay. So I have opened the Power BI desktop right now. Okay. And if you look at the left pane, okay, there are 3 views which are available. Right now, we are in the report view. Okay. And the report view, when I say report view, I mean that the reports will be visible in this view. Reports, visualizations will be visible in this view. You can create as many pages as you want in this view by just using this add sign. Okay. Right now, I'm deleting it. Okay. So basically, this is what we call report view. And in report view as well, on the left, on the right pane, we will be having the queries or the tables which are used to make this particular report. Okay, these will be available for your view. Okay. And also in report view, you will be having the views of various visualizations. You can have a look at this. Okay. And certain options in the home tab, modeling tab, view tab, which are specific to the report view. Okay. Then we'll talk about another view, which is called as the data view. Now in the data view, you'll be able to look at the tabular view of all the tables. Okay, like this, you will be able to look at the particular column. You'll be able to figure out what's the data type of that particular column and what kind of records, how many records you have in here. Okay, all this information, you can have a look at this. Okay, and this is about the data view. Okay, and the third view is basically the model view. And in the model view, you'll be able to have a look at this particular model, whether it's a star schema or whether it's a snowflake. You'll be able to figure it out. And also you'll be able to figure out the cross filter directions. Okay. And what type of cardinalities we have here. Okay. And also importantly, you will be able to have a look at this diagram, which is the ER diagram. Okay. That you will be able to look out in the model view. Okay. So this is about the 3 different views. Okay. Any doubts with respect to this in Power BI?
I have a doubt, man. Like, you have covered data sets, right?
Yes.
Will you be covering the data flows as well? Like what is the difference between data sets and data flows?
Definitely. Okay. I'll be covering the understanding of data flow, how it is different from Power BI data sets. Definitely, sure.
So you will be helping us to know how to create a data flow in Power BI?
I'll be telling you how to create the data flows. Okay. I mean, if we go to Power BI service again, okay, we can create data flow here itself. Okay. So there you need to bring the tables and you need to make certain transformations that are available. Okay. And then you can import the model as well if you want. But yeah, we'll be dealing with this in the Power BI service section. Okay.
Okay, like I just wanted to know the basic difference between the data set and data flow and why they are different. Like
I'll be telling you in detail how the Power BI data set is different compared to Power BI data set.
okay, no issues.
Okay. So this is about the different views of the Power BI desktop. Okay. Now let's move on to one very important thing, which is called as Power Query Editor. Okay. Power Query Editor, or basically it is the ETL tool within Power BI. Okay, although it has, as I said earlier, limited capabilities in terms of ETL compared to other ETL specific tools like Informatica or Azure or other tools. Okay, but nonetheless, we can do ETL in Power BI as well. Okay, so if you again go back to Power BI Desktop, okay, at the top, there will be one icon which is available here, which says transform data. And if I click on transform data, a new window will appear. Okay, a new window will basically open, which will be different than Power BI Desktop. Existing desktop, if you click here, you'll come to know there's one window for Power BI Desktop, but now I'm into a different window, which is Power BI Power Query Editor. Sorry. Okay. Now here, as I said, you will be able to do the ETL process. Here at the left pane, again, you will be able to see the queries. And when we say queries, we mean tables. You can see the list of tables in there. And within these tables, if you go at the right-hand side, you'll be able to see the number of transformation steps or applied steps that have been performed on each and every table. Okay. So that's about this particular left pane and right pane. And if we go to the tabs here, in home tabs, if you see, there are various options, like you can create and manage parameters. Then you can use these particular things, like you can choose columns, you can remove columns, you can keep certain rows, you can remove certain rows, you can split a column, you can summarize the data by using the group by option. Okay, you can merge the queries, append queries, combine files. Okay, there are various options which are available for making use of the ETL or basically the transforming abilities of Power BI. This is about the home tab. If we go to transform tab, again, various features will help you to transform your data. Like, let's say, transposing the data, or let's say detecting the data type automatically, or let's say replacing the values, unpivoting or pivoting the columns, okay, or splitting the column. This is available here as well, okay, and also merging the column, extracting certain value from column, performing some mathematical functions like standard mathematical functions, statistics. The trigonometry is available, but we rarely do that in Power BI. Okay, so these are as far as the transform tab is concerned. And when you use the transform tab, you will be doing modification in the existing column. But let's say if you want to create a new column where you want to bring in some conditional formatting, or let's say you want to bring in some custom column, that you can do by going to the add column option, okay, or the add column tab. Here you can see you can create column from some existing examples. You can create custom column, you can create conditional column, index column, duplicate column, okay, and you can perform merge columns here as well, or you can perform the numeric functions. Okay, so all these things you can do here. There are some other view tools as well, and these I will discuss when we deal with those, this in more detail. Okay, but this is how the Power Query Editor GUI it looks like. Okay, this is how it basically looks like. Okay, any doubt with respect to the basic GUI of?
I had one question. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, sir. Tell me.
Yeah. So let's say I have very good knowledge of SQL, but I don't have knowledge of ETL, the page which you were showing little earlier. So the data augmentation or data messaging. So would that be okay? Like, or I need to learn.
Okay.
In parallel.
See, when you say you have a very good knowledge of SQL, you mean that you can do ETL from SQL and as well, right? That's what you mean?
Not probably. ETL I understand to some extent, but
okay. Or You mean that you can clean the data from SQL end as well, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, let's say if you are able to do that, let's say if you are able to clear out the null values, if you are able to establish the data types, okay, if you are able to merge the required columns into one particular table, and if you are able, let's say, to bring the data in the ready-made form in the Power BI, in that scenario, you are not required to use that Power Query editor at all. But as I said, provided the fact that you have brought the ready-made data, okay? But if you have not, and if you want to do some transformation, you can do that as well by making use of Power Query editor. But yes, we are good in SQL doesn't mean that we need not learn this, because in our projects, what happens is that the sources are not confined to SQL or any other database. Sometimes you will be required to work on some CSV or flat files as well. So in that scenario, you will be forced to work on Power Query editor there. Okay. So learning this is a necessity as far as I think.
Correct. And about the licensing, means let's say whatever we will be working on would be the free Power BI license, right? So
Sure.
one part was like whether all the features which you would be telling, or maybe which are available, those all would be available with us also, right? Or there would be some features which we.
Let me answer this. Now the application which you're seeing, that is the Power BI desktop, it remains same. It is a free application. Okay. It has all the capabilities that you can do in BI. Okay. And as far as using the premium features is concerned, okay, we have the option of using the trial of 60 days. Can you see this? I have activated the trial option.
Yes.
It says PPU trial, 44 days left. PPU means premium per user. Okay. And there is a way to do that as well. I'll tell you that how to get this trial activated. For that, you will be needing a work email. And when I say work email, you need not use your actual work email. There is a way to get a temporary work email as well. And with that, you can activate this PPU trial and you can use Power BI to its utmost capability. Hope this answers.
Correct. And one extension to this. So if someone is student, will he get some premium membership or some additional advantage?
No matter you are a student or anyone else, everyone can get the access to premium per user if he activates the trial.
Okay, thanks.
So this is about the basic GUI of Power Query Editor. So I think it's 8 AM already. We'll be continuing this in the next class or next session. So any doubts with respect to what has been covered till now, or do you have any doubt with respect to how this course will go on, and any doubts basically?
One fundamental question again, like means what we understand now from BI tools like major tools like Tableau, Power BI, Einstein, and then ClickView, etc. What is the business percentage right now that organizations are using? An approximate one, so that we want to know where we land actually.
You mean to say
how many companies use Power BI? How many companies use Tableau? That
now,
kind of stuff.
there is actually the Gartner's quadrant. Have you seen the Gartner's graph?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So if you have a look at it, Power BI is right at the top in that Gartner's quadrant. Gartner's BI 2023. If I get the image, okay. Okay. Now, can you see this image?
Yes.
Yeah. So here, basically, they're trying to rank the ability to excuse part, and also on the x-axis they have the completeness of vision. and within this, they have all the tools in here. Now, Microsoft or Power BI, it comes at the top compared to all the other competitions. Okay. And this is just about the Gartner's quadrant, but I'll tell you the practical scenario that is happening in the industries. In the industries, Power BI is widely used compared to any other tool, any other BI tool. And in fact, currently, in most scenarios, also the migrations are happening from other tools to Power BI tools. And to be more precise, even I am working on a project which is related to the migration. Migration is happening from one of the other softwares to the Power BI. So yeah, Power BI is in most cases they use Power BI as far as the BI is concerned in industries. Okay. Yeah.
Pawan, how many years of experience you have on Power BI?
On Power BI, I have 5+ years of experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're currently working, right?
I'm currently working as a Power BI developer for a reputed organization.
Okay, cool.
Sir, will you be providing us some assignments or something like we used to get in the SQL classes so that we can practice? Because till now it seems like everything is in a theory form, right? But as the class,
Yeah, see, this is just about the starting of this. Once we are dealing with the Power Query editor, we'll be actually getting our hands dirty as far as doing the things is concerned. So you don't worry about that. I'll be sharing you the work as well as the data sets where you can perform the work. So no issues with that. Okay.
no problems. Thank you.
Okay, let me unmute. Yogesh. Okay. Yogesh, you can ask your question in the chat itself if you have, because I think host is someone else. I'm not able to unmute you. Okay. Okay, some light on the certification part. Now, when I say, when you say certification, the TechNest Academy, they provide the certification of their own. And for that, you need to connect with Tanveer again. But if you're talking about some certification like PL300, that will be given by Microsoft. And that certification has a particular exam. Okay, and I myself am a PL300 certificate. Certified from Microsoft. Okay, and there'll be an exam for that. Okay. But that you will get from the Microsoft portal. Okay. Anything else apart from that?
Yeah. So very quickly, why is it that people like the companies are migrating from other tools to Power BI, license or capability? What could be the probable reason?
If I be very frank with you, actually Power BI is also cheaper compared to other
Right.
softwares like Tableau. Okay. So when the business considers that fact that with Power BI you are having this much integration with other softwares, along with the fact that it's cheaper compared to others, so that's the reason they are using it. Yeah.
Okay.
And yes, also let me tell you that there are certain capabilities that are exclusive to Tableau or softwares like ClickSense, where just by 1 or 2 clicks, certain things will happen.
Right.
Achieving those things in Power BI, it will take a bit of time. You have to go to DAX and write the codes for that to achieving those capabilities. But nonetheless, they can be achieved, but it will take a bit of toll on writing DAX. Okay. But that is none of the concern as far as business is concerned. Okay. They just, you know how it works, right?
No, that's correct.
Yeah.
Also, while working on other visualization tool like Tableau, I understood that I'm talking about the refreshes, scheduled refreshes. So I understand that Excel sheet or flat files are giving me some trouble there. Do we have that kind of trouble here also? I mean,
No,
no?
there's
Okay.
no problem with any of that sort.
Okay. Okay.
You can schedule almost, if you are using import mode, you can schedule almost 48 refreshes per day.
Okay.
If you are using the direct query connection, then there is
Mhm.
no such limit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sir,
Yeah, please.
sir, like in the this map, the picture, can we make it a live map picture, or can we like put visualization inside a visualization? Like if we press central, so only the central part comes up.
We can zoom in here. Okay.
Oh, okay.
That we can definitely do. Okay. And if you want, I mean, we can provide more information like this. Can you see this tooltip?
Yes.
If you go to a particular point, it will show you the details with respect to that particular thing. Okay. And not just that, if you click on that, the other visuals, they will show you the information with respect to the highlighted part. Okay. Or with respect to the clicked part.
Okay, so
So
everything on that will change everything outside also. Okay. Yes.
Yes. Okay. There'll be interactions within the visuals. I mean, with respect to other visuals as well. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Could you share some video where we can, download Power BI or something, or that is a part of next session?
I'll tell you how to download it. And there is one question, the project you will be sharing, will that be a real one or a dummy project? Okay. Now, to be very frank in this, I cannot share the project that I'm handling in my office. So the answer to that is no. But will you be able to gain knowledge with the kind of project that we will be doing in this course? So definitely yes. I'll be sharing you the type of work that we do in my own project here as well. Okay, the type of possibilities that we do. I mean, the possibilities that can be achieved with respect to Power BI, or the complex DAX writing, or the complex visuals that we will be covering for sure. Okay, and believe me, once you are through with this course, you'll be having the knowledge which is more than enough for you to clear the interviews which they take for 2 or 2+ years of experience. Hope that answers your question. Okay, so it's not that just I'll be telling you about this tool and how to do what. I'll be telling you how to achieve some specific scenario based possibilities. I'll be telling you that for sure. Okay.
Not just interviews, but real-time work also.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I agree, because clearing interview is one part, but yes, doing the real-time work is also another part of it. But I'll be covering the scenario-based questions. Scenario-based questions in the sense how you can use the DAX part to achieve certain specific thing,
Right.
okay, which you come across in your project that I will be doing. And let me also tell you one more thing. No matter how many projects, because if you have a look into YouTube itself, you have so many projects in it with respect to Power BI.
Correct.
And that will make you think that you can learn Power BI in just 1 or 2 days, but that's not the fact. The fact is that getting through with Power BI, it takes months of practice. Okay, and the key lies not in doing many projects that are there in YouTube or Google, but the key lies in learning all the possibilities or all the scenarios, functions repeatedly. Okay, because when you have the knowledge of all the things that can be achieved in Power BI, then your brain will function like, oh, this can be done, or I can go through this way to achieve this particular thing. Okay, so that I think will be more helpful rather than doing the projects which are 1 or 2 hours projects which are there in YouTube already. I'm not saying that you will not be able to learn anything out of that, but once you are done with that, you will forget what has happened in that project, so that in long-term scenario, it will not be as helpful. Okay. Instead,
I agree.
yeah.
So Pawan, you said that one can do 48 refreshes in like PPU in which license? Scheduled refresh.
PPU.
PPU. And what about the like pro license?
In pro license, there are 8 refreshes per day.
Okay. And would you cover in Power Query editor? Will you cover the M code?
Will you cover what?
M code.
See, let me tell you about that as well. Okay, when we talk about M code, the M code has almost 700 plus M codes. Okay, the number of functions which are available in M code are more than 700. But I will tell you what happens in the M code. Basically, if I go to transform query, if we go to advanced editor, we get the M codes. Okay, and I will be telling you what particular M code does. And yes, this question they will be asking you in interviews as well. Have you worked on M code? Okay, but the thing is that anyone who will be answering as yes, I'm through with the M code, I'm sure that he will be lying, because you cannot be perfect in M code and DAX as well. Okay, because M code you will be having knowledge of what to use, but you cannot certainly learn all the 700 M code functions that are available. But that's also a fact that you need not learn or use M code always. What happens is that as and when you are applying the transformation steps, the M code will be handled in the backend itself by the Power BI. And only in some scenarios you are supposed to use M code, not every time. But as far as DAX is concerned, DAX, you have to do it yourself in Power BI. I agree, there is a thing called as a quick measure where Power BI does this thing simple for you, but nonetheless, DAX is what we deal with in more detail in Power BI when compared with M code. Okay.
And during the course, you will be covering each and every part of the transform tab in Power Query editor, as in how to append or merge, or
yes,
how to
I'll be doing everything: how to append, how to merge, how to bring files from different sources, how to pivot, unpivot, create conditional column, custom column, everything I'll be doing. Okay.
Okay, thanks, Pawan.
Yes, then first I will stop sharing my screen and I'll stop the recording.